Our first story from 2020 comes from Centrica, an international energy services and solutions company supplying energy, in-home servicing, and home solutions to residential consumers and energy supply to business customers. For Centrica, maintaining customer service to its 25 million global customers was ever more important during lockdown, particularly for the most vulnerable in society. A power outage for those people could be devastating. So it was vital that Centrica's call centres remained fully operational in the transition from offices to workers' homes. Working with Fujitsu and Citrix, Centrica was able to move more than 10,000 of Centrica's 29,000 global employees, including entire contact centre teams, to work remotely from home. The transition was rapid and seamless, and it was thanks to a global virtual workplace solution, which was scaled up during the pandemic to allow contact centre employees to continue answering customer calls during the lockdown from their kitchen or dining room tables at home. So let's hear now about the last 6 months at Centrica and some of the decisions they took when the pandemic struck to protect the service they supply to over 10 million UK households and equip their people with the tools and systems needed to maintain continuity of customer care from home. How did they achieve this? What did they learn along the way? And how do they see their future unfolding? Telling his story is the Director of End User Computing at Centrica, James Boswell. James, tell us, how have the events of the past 6 months changed your perspective?
I think the last 6 months has really been unprecedented. In my role at Centrica, I'm responsible for end user computing, which means the IT that you use on a daily basis. And since the pandemic started, we've had to really make sure that we're providing a service to our employees to allow them to work from home. And to do that, we had to be really flexible and really agile. And that's something that in the past we were trying to do, but weren't able to on such a scale as we did during the pandemic. So the workforce has become much more flexible. We've had to simplify our processes and become more agile with our delivery. We've had to deliver change quickly, and we've had to take some risks that potentially we wouldn't have made in the past with technology deployment and how we deliver services. So we've really had to move at a really fast pace to make sure that our employees have the right equipment and the right IT to be able to deliver for our customers. Our workforce is now working from home, and they have been since the lockdown started in the UK. And we've really been surprised at how well that's gone. I think before there was a reluctance to allow a large swathes of the workforce to work from home, mainly due to didn't trust the technology or didn't think the technology was up for it. But actually, during this period, that's changed massively. And my perspective of how to do IT change and how people can work and have a home work-life balance is changed massively during this period. And I think it's changed for the better as well. There's some things that we need to work on and improve in how we operate as a company, how our culture is, now we're working from home, how we keep in touch with our teams. But it's very different perspective on how things were before. And I think there's some positive things that will come out of this pandemic and the way we're working.
So what opportunities has the crisis created for lasting change?
I think it's created a large amount of opportunity, both within Centrica and both across the world as well. I think there's so many opportunities that we as a society and we as a company and as a nation, as the world, need to use this opportunity to make changes for the good. For example, in the energy industry, there's lots of focus on EV, heat pumps, becoming more efficient, storage batteries, etc. So we need to use this period to flip to becoming more efficient, and I think that will happen. So people have realised that actually you might not need to commute for 2 hours a day. You might not need to waste that energy. In Centrica, we're moving our engineer fleet to EV vans shortly. So I think the pandemic has changed the way that people operate. A good example of my life, I had an hour and a half commute before. Now I haven't commuted since February. That's allowed me to improve my work-life balance significantly. So I go for a run every other day. I've lost some weight. So there's changes in what I'm doing, but there's also changes in how the company's operating. And one of the key things that we found during the pandemic is that it's forced us to become more agile. It's forced us to make decisions quicker, and it's forced us to really think about how we deliver technology services to our employees and to our customers, and to become more flexible, and really understand the importance of making sure we make the right investments in the IT that we use. So, for example, before the pandemic, we just moved to the Citrix Cloud, and that enabled us to deploy really quickly compute power to our employees so they could service our customers. And making the right decisions, moving to the cloud, has really helped us move forward. And I think going forward, I think things become simpler. I think we're going to remove lots of the complexity that we have in our lives. We're going to have more time for family. Our workforce is going to be much more flexible than it was before. So there's a lot of change that's going to come, that's lasting change as a result of the pandemic and the way we've been working.
And how has Fujitsu supported you during this time?
Okay, so Fujitsu have supported us throughout the pandemic. Fujitsu are our end user computing partner and provider. They provide end user computing services across the Centrica group. They've been with us through this pandemic. As an end user computing supplier, they are responsible for most of the technology that our employees use to service our customers. So they're responsible for the laptops, for the Citrix platform, for the service desk. So when the COVID lockdown started, we needed to move all our workforce from being based in the office to being based at home. And that was a significant challenge. We have a large number of agents. Roughly, we have at the moment 15,000 people working from home concurrently. So that was quite a challenge, and Fujitsu came along that journey with us. At one weekend, they managed to build over 600 laptops over the weekend, ready for our staff to use, and they were really instrumental in making sure that we were able to still provide for our customers by answering calls from vulnerable customers and the like. So they were with us. They also migrated our VPN solution to a cloud-based solution from an on-premise based solution that gave us the capacity to scale up instantly in North America, which we didn't have previously. So that helped massively. And they've also took us on the journey to Citrix Cloud. So the Citrix Cloud obviously is new technology. Previously, our virtual desktop solution was on premise, and if we hadn't moved to the cloud, then we would have been stuck because we wouldn't be able to ramp up that capacity in minutes, as we have been able to do with the cloud. So that decision and that joint roadmap that we have with Fujitsu has enabled us to realise the benefit of the investment in our move to the cloud. Centrica has a cloud first strategy, and that's really paid off in this pandemic, and Fujitsu are a big part of that.
James, can you reimagine your organisation's future?
Yeah, so the future is interesting, and as an organisation, we're working through at the moment what that means, and it's the focal point of a lot of internal discussion. But I think what the pandemic has taught us is that we can be flexible. We can allow our workforce to work from wherever they need to work from. We don't have to be focused on offices for every location. And we can serve our customers from many different platforms anywhere in the world, really. We don't need to have to be focused on one particular place. I think also that the pandemic has hopefully driven the climate change agenda forward, and Centrica is focused on energy solutions for the future. So, for example, heat pumps, EV charging points, end-to-end energy solutions. So, hopefully, that will push the pandemic's push that agenda forwards, and people will start to think about that more. So, there's been less flights, there's been more birds in the garden. So, I think that change, if it's acted upon, will help the world and society, but it will also help us because we provide those services that are really important for our future. I think as well internally, I think what it's taught us is that we can be agile. We don't need to get caught up in governance, and we can make change quickly, and we can make change that's effective quickly. So, for example, when we rolled out the solution for our employees to work from home, we did that incredibly quickly over a number of weeks. And what's interesting about that, if we'd run that as a formal program with a project structure, etc., then that might have taken 6 months to roll out the changes that we needed to enable our people to work from home. So I think becoming more agile is going to be one of the biggest things as a company that we see out of this. And also making things easier and simpler. We've realised there's some processes that we need to tweak, and ways we do things can be changed. So we need to stop doing business with ourselves, for example. So that there's lots of different things that are maybe relatively small items, but actually will make a big difference to Centrica and to our customers. So yeah, there's a lot of talk about what the future is going to look like at the moment, but I think it's going to be very different to what it is now, and I think it's going to be different in a better way. So people potentially will have a better work-life balance. That they won't have to go to the office as much. They can be more flexible with their children, with childcare. And at the end of the day, that flexibility in the workforce actually has a positive impact on our customers because we're able to serve their needs quicker. We're able to react to their demands, etc. So I think, it's going to be a very interesting future for Centrica and everybody else.
James, what one change will you be making personally as a result of the experiences of 2020?
The experience I think I will shift to as part of as a result of the pandemic is doing more exercise. I think before I spent a lot of time commuting. I'd get home from work and then I'd have my dinner. But now I can go for a run in the morning, and that has made a massive difference to me. It's made my health improve, and also running is really good for the mind. So I think, and talking to my colleagues, lots of people are in the same position, and lots of people have made lots of positive life choices as a result of having that extra time at home. So, for example, spending more time with your children, making sure you talk to your friends and family. So, during the pandemic, I've lost count on the number of pub quizzes I've done on Zoom. And I'm doing those with people that I don't really often talk to, so old school friends, for example. So I've become a lot more connected to people that I haven't really spoken to for quite a long time. So I think that should hopefully stay. I would hope it would stay after the pandemic's over. But it also shows that we have the technology, and if you want to, you can have those relationships virtually. It doesn't completely remove the need to meet people, but it is really important that you have those connections, and actually it's really easy to have those connections. So yeah, those are the kind of main things I think I'm gonna change as part of the pandemic.
James, thank you.